Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Immigrant Section. It's your boy, Abbas Wahab. Thanks for tuning in. We got another great episode for y'all today. In the studio with me, very excited about this guest. I emceed a Taste of Middle East festival a couple weeks back, and I met this gentleman there. He went up to share a few words on behalf of his department. So let's put it all up. I always assume it's like an audience, but put it together for my guy, Constable Mir Lodhi. What do you say it?
Thank you, boss, for having me, and you said my name perfectly.
I've been practicing over 100 episodes.
There you go. And I thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
I'm honored to have you. Yeah. I've never had a police officer. The fact that you're in uniform is the best.
Well,
okay.
My position is, I'm the South and West Asian liaison officer. So I've attended I attend a lot of meetings, and I've been on a lot of shows. A lot. Omni. I have my own radio show every Mondays, right?
What station? We include it all at the end, but just mention it right now.
So every Monday,
AM?
every Monday, 5:30 p.m.
Yeah,
101.3 FM.
Okay.
And I just like
what do you chat about?
Well, it's mostly catered to the South Asian community.
Gotcha.
So whatever is unique to that community, whether it's frauds or scams. For example, I spoke about wedding scams. So you say,
guys, don't do frauds, guys. Come on, guys.
No.
We're piecing it together, guys.
No, it's the opposite. I tell them how to educate because, I always get asked as a police officer, when are all these revenue Canada scams going to stop? It's going to stop when you stop falling for it.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah. Because if there's money to be made, it's going to keep going.
When there's a demand, there'll be a supply.
Perfect.
Right? So
my job cut down big time.
They did because people are being educated, and that's what I'm doing, right? I'm educating people. I'm saying, look, Revenue Canada, they're not going to threaten you. The Toronto Police, we're not going to come after you. It's a separate department. So, for example, last week I talked about wedding scams, and
how does a wedding scam go?
Oh my God, everything you name it. So there were two subjects. One was about marriage scam.
Yeah.
People professing their love to you, and then they're only coming here for a visa.
Gotcha. For papers.
Yes.
That's been happening for 60 years,
yes.
100 years.
And unfortunately, some Canadians are in on it as well.
Gotcha.
Right?
But it's probably money people are paying, right?
It's very lucrative. Anywhere from $20,000 to $150,000.
Jesus Christ. This is essentially to get you your PR and effectively your Canadian citizenship.
Yes. And see, what people don't understand is everything's based on an honor system in Canada. And if you keep on, doing these things, they're going to get stronger and tougher.
Yeah.
And make it harder for everybody else, right?
To come in, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not worth it.
Like it's a cycle. It's all connected.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, the more this... And it's what you were saying about the phone, the CRA's phone scams for you guys in America, it's probably the same thing with the IRS. Same kind of situation.
Yeah.
But sometimes I listen to them and I laugh and I'm like, man, fresh immigrants are definitely falling for this.
Yes.
Because it's like... this threatens everything I've worked so hard to get here. Let me just pay this and stop this problem now,
Yes. Well, but Abbas, what I always tell people, do your due diligence, right?
Yeah.
That's all it takes, and it will stop you from being a victim. It will stop you from losing thousands of dollars. All you have to do is
Google it, essentially.
Google it.
Yeah.
Call Revenue Canada. Say, hey, listen, one of your officers called me. I just want to confirm this.
Yeah.
That's all you have to
do.
do.
But don't call 911, though.
No.
They got more shit to
Exactly.
handle. Super. I don't even know where to start. I know we got to get you out of here pretty quick because, you're literally doing cop duties, no justification. What's funny is as you parked here, normally I have to tell people how to park so they don't get parking enforcement stuff. And I was about to explain it. I'm like, yeah, you're a freaking thing. It doesn't matter for you. Yeah. But actually, before we continue, do you have the power to mess with any parking tickets? Because I got stuff I need help with, Mir.
You know what? I've gotten parking tickets.
Yeah.
Not that many, but a few, and I paid for it.
Oh, come on. Don't do that. Don't get me with that modest
separate
stuff.
apartment. Separate.
Come on. You're trying to help you're paying for it for the immigrants to come.
No. No, seriously, parking, I've gotten a few tickets, and one ticket I got, I'll tell you what ticked me off. I was out with the family for dinner on Danforth. And I just came back from Saudi Arabia a month later. And in Saudi Arabia, you can park anywhere you want. You go to a restaurant, there's no taxes. Whatever you pay for, or whatever you see on the menu, that's what you pay for.
The price.
Right? So we went to this nice restaurant. And then after I came back, we went with two friends.
Yeah.
After we came back, we all got parking tickets because it went up above the time. And it ruined our evening. So it's like, I was like, oh God, like I could see why people get upset, right? Like I already paid and then I'm like, whatever limit, right? I think it was 15 minutes over. And these guys were quick. Like they were right on the dot.
Oh, relentless.
Yeah.
I've seen them on Queen Street, no parking as of 3:30. I remember seeing them at 3:27 with 3 tow trucks ready.
Well, no, mind you, they do have a job to do.
Of course.
And their job is to always clear the roadway, right? To make sure it's flow. And so I understand, right? But it was just like, oh, it kind of ruined our evening. Yeah. So I understand how people feel. But like I said, I've paid my parking tickets.
Hey, I respect you and I respect these institutions. But you know what? I hate those parking enforcement.
No, listen.
I hate them. Okay?
No, I'm telling you.
I consider it a tax. I get hit so much. I'm like, this is a Toronto tax.
Well, let me put it this way. Those guys, I know a lot of them. They are truly hardworking guys and they mean well. They have a job to do. Right?
I know.
But I'll tell you what it is, okay, for them. That's your job, is just to enforce the roads, right? But here's another thing. Downtown, if you notice, if you've been to Yonge Street,
of course,
it's a lot better than it used to be. Before, people used to park on live lanes during rush hour, you know, getting a coffee or whatever. But thanks to our park enforcement unit, like I've driven a few times, it's pretty much clear. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
And you know, even other times, well, ignorant
because I've been towed from there.
Yeah,
I've been towed.
There you go.
From there, I was new to the city. I got towed right out of there.
My biggest thing too is how people are ignorant and they'll park in fire or disabled routes.
Okay, yeah, but that you just got to get one of those $150 tickets, or you get towed to learn. One time.
I'm telling you, some people just don't get it, man.
Yeah.
Like when I check their records, like it's over. They're doing the same thing over and over again.
Parking infractions show up on your system when you check people's stuff?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You grew up in Parkdale?
So, yes.
So, were you born in Canada?
I was born in India.
Yeah.
Hyderabad, India.
Yeah.
We came in 1981.
Yeah.
And
how old were you?
I was 4 years old.
Okay, so I came when I was 6.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
okay.
97. Okay.
And man, Parkdale was tough.
My girlfriend was just living in Dunn up until a month ago. 131 Dunn Ave.
No, it was a lot different back then.
Yeah. Worse, I'm assuming?
Way worse.
Yeah.
Like, you know, for example, Naval Farms was a big thing in Parkdale, right? So my mom, my brother, and I, we would take our shopping cart once a week to Naval Farms and back, and you would hear people yell, like, you know, the P word, right?
Yeah.
Go home. That was a big thing back in the 80s.
Packy?
Yeah. Yeah. And then even me as a kid, I'd be walking with my friends on Queen Street.
Yeah.
Because that was the Queen Street in Parkdale was like the Yonge Street.
Yeah, okay.
Right? There was actually an arcade store we all used to go to, and there was a gym. Whenever WWE wrestlers were in town, they would work out at that gym, Gold's Gym.
Okay, yeah.
So it was quite, and then
that's like the Arnold gym and everything.
Yeah. And I'd be walking with my friends, and most of my friends back then were West Indian.
Yeah.
And we'd be called racial slurs just by grown men.
All the time.
Yeah.
And how old were you guys?
I was a baby. I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old.
That's wild to me to think.
I know, man. It was 80s was tough. And even the stories I used to hear from like racialized police officers.
Yeah.
Some of the hate crime that used to go on.
Yeah.
Right.
Internally, or are you talking about?
Oh, externally.
Yeah,
externally,
gotcha,
right.
Gotcha.
It's really sad, but we've come a long way though.
I gotta ask this.
Yeah.
When you were a kid.
Yeah.
And you and your friends played cops and robbers.
Yeah.
Were you a cop?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, I was always on the good side.
Yeah. So when did you know you're like, I want to be a cop? Or do you fall into like police enforcement? I don't know how it goes.
So in Parkdale, there was a substation.
Yeah.
Okay. It was 14 Division, right on Queen.
Yeah.
And those officers were great.
Yeah.
They're very community oriented, very friendly. And I used to interact with them. And ever since then, I was like, okay, this is
you had a
something
good vibe
I'm interested
from them,
in.
yeah.
But what really made me want to be a police officer was somebody stole my bike. And I said, I'm going to get this person, become a police officer, investigate it, and find out who stole my bike. Because in the 80s, we didn't have that much money. And my parents saved up a lot to buy me this bike. It was $100. So imagine.
That's like probably $300-$400 bike now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, for the 80s.
Yeah.
And, I was careless. I left it. It was stolen. And that's what made me say, okay, I want to be a cop.
Did you go home and say it got stolen? Or were you like, I got to investigate right now? I can't go home without this bike.
I was a kid, so I went up. I got in trouble, obviously, right?
Of course, yeah.
For being careless.
Yeah.
And so I told my mom and dad. So it wasn't very nice.
So from that moment, you just, that thing was in you?
Yes.
And right after high school, how did it go down for you? Because now, I have a lot of friends who've done police foundations.
Yeah.
And then I find out police foundations doesn't get you into police work. In fact, a degree is easier as a cop. Isn't it easier to become a cop with a degree?
So let me put it this way.
Yeah.
I can speak for the Toronto Police Service because I've worked with our talent acquisition.
Okay. Damn, headhunters
Yeah.
essentially.
So what it is they're going to look for the best. And you as a citizen of Toronto would want the best.
Naturally.
Right? Yeah. So what we do is it's very competitive, right? For example, if there's 150 spots, you can have anywhere from 5 to 15,000 apply for that 150.
From all over the country.
All over, right? No, yeah. But so obviously you want the best, right? That's not to say that we have hired people from Police Foundation, right? Right? So don't get me wrong.
Gotcha.
We have hired people from Police Foundation.
But the bulk.
Well, I don't know statistically for the last 2 recruiting class.
Yeah, like none of this stuff is like no one's gonna.
Yeah, but I know from they're gonna seek the best.
Yes.
So obviously, if you have a degree,
Yes.
and diploma degree is a little bit more outstanding. But here's another problem. Now that you mentioned it, boss, I'm very interactive with a lot of people on my Facebook and Instagram because I like to give advice. And what I've been finding, a lot of people, they just decided one day they woke up one day and they want to be a cop. They're like, okay, I'm going to take police foundations, right? Or they'll just start volunteering, just before. We know that.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to, we look for people with good moral character. So I'll tell you, for me, for example, this is amazing. I was 13, 14, and I said by 1998, I'm going to become a police officer. And by 1998, I joined the Toronto Police as a court officer. 2000, I became a police officer, but I almost achieved my goal. But guess what? I was doing volunteer work since the age of 14, 15. And when I got closer to 18 as an adult, I actually I did volunteer work for Big Brother.
Yeah.
Not obviously to help me as well, right on my resume.
Naturally, yeah.
But I did it because I'm like, hey, you know what? There are some young kids out there that don't have a mentor or whatever. I want to be there, right? So even before I applied, I was doing volunteering work. But what I've been finding with a lot of people, like I said, they just
wake up.
They just wake up, want to be cop, and then they start to do all these things.
And that's suspect because like a sustained effort in trying to get in that shows, like you were saying, that puts you higher up in the hierarchy of quality candidates versus someone with just like, it came to me in a dream.
Yeah.
I'm to enforce the law.
Yeah.
Like that's, you guys are like, okay, let's do another psychological test.
Yeah. Well, in the 80s, right, like I said, when I used to meet with these officers, I'm like, hey, this seems good. But after my bike was stolen, I'm like, okay, I want to be a cop, right? But you watch a lot of movies. Bruce Lee, I was a big Bruce Lee fan in the 80s, just like a typical kid, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff. I always want to help people and put the bad guys away, right? And you have to have that in you to be a police officer, right? And don't join the police service because, we have a nice salary or because of our benefits. It should be in you. It should be in your heart.
Gotcha. I love that.
And when I talk to people, I can kind of figure it out, too.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine you've been a cop for what, decades now, I'm assuming, right?
20 years as a police officer.
Yeah.
20,
I mean, I think that's going to give you a good instantaneous judge of character and judge of like. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, boss, if I do see somebody that I think, they'll be an asset to the Toronto Police Service, I will help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you met people that have no interest in being a cop and you were like, you should maybe think about it?
Yes.
Like they were like the perfect candidate, like character.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I have done that. I'm like, hey, maybe you should think of this as a career. But the reason why I don't push them is this job is not for everybody, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was at 32 Division for 18 years. And then I went to 23 Division from 2018 to 2020, which is Rexdale. And
the Rexdale's a rough area, right?
It's a rough area. Yeah. One of my first calls was a person was shot 6 times. And I was around the corner. I did CPR, right?
Jesus.
And what's sad about Rexdale as well is it has one of the highest poverty rates, right? But also, like a lot of young people, like I came across a lot of I would go to calls with young people dying either from heart attacks or overdoses.
Heart attacks as a result of what?
So here's the thing. Cholesterol, heart disease is rampant in the South Asian community.
Even in young people, huh?
Even young people. Damn. And just because you eat healthy and you work out doesn't mean anything. You got to get the inside checked out, right? And and I always try to send this message across to a lot of South Asians because I did a three months course at Brampton Civic regarding this. And if you ask any doctors, in Brampton Civic Hospital, whatever, they will tell you there's a lot of young South Asian men that are undiagnosed, right? And it's because of mostly from genes issues. So it was really sad to see all these. So I'm like, this job is not meant for everybody, right? And like it's been tough, right? Like I could tell you a lot of stories, right? Like
I gotta ask this.
Yeah.
You're as a young, like, you're new in the force.
Yeah.
You got all these like ambitions. I'm gonna fucking save the world and everything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How long does it take before like reality sets in as a cop? Like where you like, the term jaded, right?
Yeah.
For cops, like a cop's
Yeah.
you've been on the force so long, nothing phases you. Like
Yeah.
you're phased. You're not emotionally like absent, but it's just like things aren't gonna give you that much mental toil at least in the moment. You know how to get through it. Like is it years of just like what the, like you come home like what the fuck was that, or do you still have that?
I still have that.
Yeah?
Yes. Because every situation is different. You're always dealing with people, and it's very important as police officers because not only do we enforce the law, but we're social workers. We have to show a lot of compassion, right? And every call I used to go to, I'm in the community business now, but when I used to be on the road, every call I used to go to, I always used to show compassion, caring, and no matter, even if I did the call 1,000 times, every single call I would always show compassion because to that person, like whatever incident, right, whether being a victim of an assault or a fraud, for us living in Canada, that's a huge thing. Because we're not in a war-torn country or we're these lawlessness, right? Like we are in a country where
peace is like the default here.
Yeah. So I understand when I go to these calls, hey, you know what? It is big for you, and I'm going to show you that compassion.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like with this type of work, there's been a lot of push recently for like people being like, all the stuff in the States.
Yeah.
Where it's like, the only way to solve all this crazy shit is body cams. And then I guess police officers themselves are pushing back, like, I don't want body cams, or like, what is your feeling? What is it like? Would body cams fix everything?
No, body cams are not going to fix everything, but it will fix most things. And I will tell you, most police officers do support it, believe it or not.
Yes. Okay.
Number one, it will show the incident.
Yeah.
Right. Number two, what's it called? It will stop any frivolous allegations against us as well. Unfortunately, I've been a recipient of false accusations.
Claims. Yeah.
So, and there was no video cameras back then.
Yeah.
Right. But
in that scenario, the cop's word is going to be
not necessarily.
Really?
No. I will tell you this. I've had a few times where sergeants would approach me.
Yeah.
With
sergeants, you said?
Sergeants. So what happens if when you go to the station to complain?
Yeah.
A supervisor
like
will
me
immediately,
as a citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
A supervisor will immediately start an investigation.
Gotcha.
Right, and it starts from there. Right. So I've been approached by supervisors in the past, questioning me, and I'm like, no, this is what actually happened.
Yeah.
So at least with the body-worn cameras, they can see what happened. Yeah. Yeah.
So why haven't they just been issued? Like
they aren't. So remember, everything takes time.
Yeah.
Right? You can't. So what happens with the Toronto Police Force, because it's an expensive project?
Yeah.
We have to have trials to make sure which camera is best suited for us.
Gotcha.
Right?
Oh, there's models.
There's different models, right? You have to find the ones that can work with whatever systems we have that are compatible with our system, right? And then, so for example, when I was at 23, my division was picked as a pilot project.
Okay.
So I had a chance to use all three cameras, right? And to determine which is the best one and accessible.
So from what is it you're supposed to be, the protocol would be you click record when you get out to ghost, or is it always recorded?
No. The protocol is whenever we interact with a member, we turn it on.
Gotcha.
Or any other situation where we deem.
But then that leaves it open for some officers to be like, I forgot to turn it on at that time, right?
Well, then you're going to be in big trouble. So you can't do that. Yeah.
So if you forgot to turn it on,
yeah,
and the citizen is making a complaint about the way they were treated, it doesn't look good for you.
No.
Gotcha.
But see, we've had. So I'll tell you how it is. It's not like they'll just put a camera on our chest.
I thought that's how it was.
No. You actually are trained.
Yeah.
You do a course at the college.
Yeah.
And you have a trial with it. So
where do they put it? It's not here?
It's right here.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a so they're training on muscle memory, right, to turn it on and stuff.
Yeah.
But here's the only problem with cameras: it doesn't read your mind. So like when I'm dealing with somebody, it's not gonna obviously show that person's emotions maybe or what's on their mind. It will just show the actions, right?
Yeah.
So and depending upon which angle the camera is in, it may not tell the whole story.
Gotcha.
But nevertheless, I'm very supportive of it, and I know majority of police officers are.
Is there an initiative in the Toronto policing department to be like body cams on everyone by 2025? They always spit out a number going like all electric by 2030 or something like that.
Well, yeah. I'm not sure when the date is, but not every police officer is going to be equipped, right? The officers that are responding to calls,
yes,
are the priority
of
getting these, and then eventually it will be moved on to officers like me who are in the community units to have them as well. But because I don't respond to calls right now.
Yeah,
there's no need for me to have it. It's a higher of importance for the officers who are responding to these calls.
They call first responders, or is that just like a ambulance term?
No. First responders are police, ambulance, and fire. Yeah.
Well, this is
because I have done CPR. Sometimes in the past
you were just saying with the bullet holes. Yeah.
Even others I'll be the first when you call 911, you're gonna get fire, ambulance, and police for a medical emergency. And the reason for that is all of us are highly trained in first aid. So whoever gets there first has to render first aid. There has been times where I've arrived before ambulance and I've rendered first aid like CPR. For example, on my way here, I came across a collision.
Yeah.
Right?
Which was hilarious, by the way, because you gave me a call. Hey, I just came by a big accident. I'm going to handle this before I come by. Yeah. I'm like, oh, sick. The cops calling me. I'm like, handle it. Yeah, do it.
It was a busy intersection. Debris everywhere. High impact collision. 2 babies in one car.
Jesus.
The other car, female was complaining about chest pains. Who do I go to? Do I go to the baby or do I go to the woman, right?
Yeah.
And
do you have like a triage thing that they tell you, like address pregnant first, address elderly second? You just got to make your discretion.
Who's ever the most serious injury.
Gotcha.
Right? And fire came 3 minutes after I arrived, but the paramedics, I think it was a busy day, they didn't come till 15 minutes later. So I'm rendering first aid.
Yeah,
right,
they hid that bag of Chick-fil-A. They hid it, they like hide that shit.
So it's just like, so for me, it's just, if whoever comes first.
Yeah, they have the responsibility. Yeah, because if you stop breathing, you become brain dead in like pretty much 10 minutes, right? So it's like
they say after 4 minutes can start causing brain damage.
Yeah, and they say like 10 you're like done pretty much. Like if you have no oxygen.
Yes.
So you have to, it doesn't matter who it is, administer it until the professional, and you cannot stop until the ambulance or someone takes over.
Or until you get tired.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Remember, folks, chest compressions, right? Keep on doing it till the ambulance comes. And I urge everybody to get first aid. It is amazing. Right? I just had my, so every year we have to get renewed for our first aid.
Yeah.
So I just did mine. And I'm so glad I did. Not that I forgot how to do it, but it's always, like, there's always new things. It's like everything else, first aid is evolving. So sometimes, remember in the beginning, first aid was only 15 compressions?
Yeah.
Now it's 30. And they emphasize more on the chest compressions than they do on the breathing. Right?
Really?
So it's really good to have, especially if you have kids, invest on those 3 days. Right?
Get it. Yeah, I used to get I did when I was 17, I joined the Naval Reserves. Okay. So I did boot camp and I was in the reserves for some years. Mm-hmm. So I used to do first aid with them cuz it's a similar thing where they want you to have it fresh.
Yeah.
So every year you would do it, and I would just, it's like a paid thing, so I'd be like 18, I'd be getting first aid every year. So I actually know this first aid process like pretty damn well.
Why wouldn't you want to know how to save your life or someone else's life? Right, especially if you have kids, right? Like, you have this opportunity to learn and to do these stuff. Why not take advantage of it?
I agree. Like the stuff they teach you, it's like, damn, it's not intuitive stuff. You have to be You have to be taught this stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just depending on movie scenes you've seen in the past. Like, fuck, did they push here or here? What did they do?
Okay. Do you remember, Abbas? If you had a nosebleed, what would your mom do? Put your head back.
Put your head back.
No. What you're doing is you're getting the blood back in your system, which will cause some issues. Now they teach you pinch the nose and lean forward.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, But for the longest time, I remember when I used to have nosebleeds, my mom used to put my head back.
Yeah.
And she was trying to kill me, I figured out. But,
you're like, oh, you're choking on the blood.
All they'll do is the blood's going back into your system, right? And But now, no, you put your head for it.
It's one of those things where in 10 years they'll be like, "Don't pinch the nose, you crazy fuck." It's you clog the ears and take a step up with one leg, like it's like.
Well, that being said, I had a conversation with a surgeon once. Going back to the genes issue with South Asians. So I was talking to the surgeon and I said, "Hey, is there anything out there to clean your arteries?" Right? And he's like, "Blueberries and kale." Right? He goes, "They've been known to work wonders." And I said, "Do you think they'll ever develop any like a vacuum to put in your arteries to clean up all the?" Yeah. He's like, "They might." Right? So who knows what's going to happen 15, 20 years from now.
It'll be like when the dentist, when they're doing the work and they suck up that extra liquid. Yeah. You just get that out of your arteries.
So you never know.
Dude, it's evolving like crazy.
It is.
Okay, I have a question for you. Yeah. What when the George Floyd thing happened last year and the Black Lives Matter protest went crazy?
Yeah.
What happened in Toronto policing? Like, was there okay, we're doing seminars, there's retraining, be on the lookout for this. Yep. Like, what happened?
Exactly like you said, a lot happened. We have a lot of anti-Black racism training. Yeah. Right? My superintendent, Stacey Clark.
Yeah.
Shout
out to Stacey.
Yeah. She's actually taking the lead.
Okay.
So she's been on a few committees, right? To better, educate officers and to have anti-Black racism. Frankly, you and me both know racism is out there. Yeah. And it's easy for somebody who doesn't face it to deny it.
Absolutely.
Right? Racism flows easy in society, whether it's schools, hospitals, right, banks, right, or airports, and the Toronto Police Service is no different, right? Racism flows easy in society.
Wherever there's people,
there you go,
in uniform or not.
Yeah. So my superintendent, she's taking the lead on all these anti-Black racism training. So we're due, and I'm telling you right now, the service is doing a lot, more than before, and they're really reaching out, to communities, And for example, like a lot of people don't know, we do have a Black consultative committee. Like within the Toronto Police Service with members, and they're made up of civilians. We have a superintendent, inspector, and a liaison officer. Yeah. The liaison officer, his name is Alfonso Cotter. So we work hand in hand to address all these issues and working on projects. So it's a good thing.
I'd like to know, like, you having been in the force over 20 years, when you first entered, the way that racism manifested itself in the precincts or whatever you want to call them versus now, was it was way worse back then? Or
yes,
like,
unfortunately.
Do you remember being shocked? Like, so let's say you have white officer colleagues, right? Yeah. So with the George Floyd thing, there was 2 officers on standby who kind of just watched the whole thing, and they're being charged accordingly.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of that thing? There's a lot of that thing where it's like, you as an officer who's there to support me, you can't step up and contradict my actions in front of these people because we're on the same side, right?
No, that's not like that at all in Toronto Police. I will tell you right now.
Yeah.
And I've been on the road for a long time. Every single police officer I've worked with, they're professionals. I'm telling you this. They're professionals. There's none of that stuff. And
there's none of that, like, no, it's a boys' club. Like,
not at all. Not at all. No, from my experience, I can only tell you from my experience, I haven't seen that. Yeah. Right? And every single officer I've worked with, they're actually very dedicated. They get a 911 call. It doesn't matter who it is, what neighborhood it is, they're rushing there. Right? And they will do whatever they can. And so...
But at the beginning, it was different, though, when you're saying, like, when you first got into the force?
So I'll tell you when. So I got hired in 98. Yeah. I started as a court officer.
Yeah. And that's like a bailiff, or what's a court officer?
Basically a bailiff, yeah. You're doing all the court stuff, bringing up prisoners, dealing with court documents. Gotcha. Right? Court security, basically.
Okay.
So...
Gun? No gun?
No gun.
Okay.
We get a pepper spray and baton.
Okay. Yeah.
So in 2000, I got hired as a police officer.
Okay.
2001, after 9/11, I get put into 32 Division. Okay.
So as a result of 9/11?
No. That was
just coincidentally.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. Actually, that was the division I picked. I wanted to go to.
And 32 is where physically?
North York.
North York.
Yeah, North York.
Not far from
Uptown. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you're just south of the 32 Division.
And 32 is something you wanted. Why?
Because I was a court officer in that area, so I knew the area very well. Gotcha. And I liked working in Uptown.
Gotcha. Right? And I've seen the officers already in 32.
Yes. And I did my training in downtown. I'm like, okay, let me try Uptown now.
Yeah.
Right? So I was only one of 3 brown guys. Actually, one of 2 brown guys.
Yeah.
And, I did feel some animosity. And some people were like, had a few questions.
Like, where were you?
No. I'll tell
where were
you
you
when.
in September? I was with you in training.
They found out I'm a Muslim.
Yeah. Okay.
And a lot of officers at that time,
Yeah.
like I said, I was only one of 2 brown guys.
Yeah.
Didn't have much experience with Muslims or the South Asian community.
Yeah.
Right? So they had questions.
Oh yeah.
And what I would do is I would educate, right? Saying, look, those guys are terrorists, right? Not, Muslims are
We're everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, we're everybody. Doctors, lawyers, police officers like me, whatever.
Yeah, there's
right?
over 1 billion.
Yeah. And, anywhere from 1.2, 1.7 now, right? So I had to do a lot of education. And, there were a few officers where I, unfortunately, I did see some whatever. I've received a cold shoulder.
Yeah.
But like I said, the service has changed a lot now.
Yeah.
We're a lot more diverse, a lot more training. And I'm really happy the way we are right now.
Hell yeah. You know what I've noticed? Toronto officers specifically are crazy diverse.
Yeah.
And I heard from someone that, like, as a white guy, if you want to get a policing job, you got to go way the butt fuck out there nowhere.
That's
like,
not true. Not true.
Like, you can't be a white guy getting a police job here. Because Toronto, I guess, wants
thanks
ethnic.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Because I do hear it a lot from white males. That is not true.
That's not true?
If you're a white male, you can still apply.
Yeah.
Because this is what it is, okay?
Yeah.
We always get a lot of white males applying.
Yeah.
So there's no issue of white males applying. However, we don't get enough females or racialized people applying. So all the recruiting sessions you see is mostly geared towards women and racial minorities to get them to apply.
Just because there's such a small piece of the pie, so to speak.
Yes, right? So there's always enough amount
White guys are going to be applying till the end of time.
Yeah, so
to be cops.
I do get approached by white males saying, "Oh, are you guys hiring white males?" And then I have to say, "No, listen, of course we are."
Yeah.
Right? And I explain to them, I go, "Look, we don't have an issue with white males applying. We do have issues with women, and visible minorities applying. So that's why we do recruit, and that's why they make
an active effort.
Yes,
gotcha.
right.
Yeah.
And that's why one may perceive that they're only hiring minorities, which is not the case, right? We are always seeking the best candidates.
Gotcha.
So, one class may have 90% white males, right? But that's just because
that's who applied, and that's who was the cream of the crop, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you can't just be like, these guys are really qualified, but these guys are black.
Well, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
The South Asian community.
Yeah.
Parents, they either want you to be a doctor, engineer, or lawyer, and that was my mom.
They don't want you to be a cop.
No, my mom wanted me to be either a doctor, or a lawyer, right? And even my brother took 3 years of engineering at Ryerson, because my mom kept on pushing us, and my brother's like, no, this is not for me.
He's a firefighter now.
No, he works for IBM.
Oh, okay,
executive director. Yeah.
So things worked out in the end.
But that's how most South Asians are geared to.
Of course.
Right, but now I'm starting to see more and more geared towards policing, which is nice because we're having more and more applicants from the South Asian community.
And I'm sure you like that personally, right? Because it's like, yes, because the more representation you have in the force, the less type of cold shoulder stuff could happen that you were getting back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much diversity within the force.
Well, here's my thing. I want to see every single unit, and I want to see the police service reflect our communities. Right?
Gotcha.
That's what I want to see.
A question about that. Do they specifically make an effort to be like I grew up in London, Ontario.
Yeah. I saw one of your Instagram. I love your, I always go out of my way to look at your posts whenever you post something new.
I appreciate it. If I ever get a speeding ticket or something, I'm calling you, dude. Now that I have your number.
It's out of my hands.
I'm saving your number.
Everything's electronic now. It goes straight to the prosecutors.
I'll text you. I got to figure this out. I don't get a lot of speeding tickets.
Well, here's my advice to everybody. Don't speed. Don't speed. And almost every area that has a school, you can pretty much guarantee there's going to be a speed camera because that's where most of those speed cameras are located. By schools. So
don't speed around children.
Well, don't speed at all, but especially around schools.
Where kids could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, and I always wondered because like I went to school in Waterloo. Mm-hmm. Now I live in Toronto. Mm-hmm. I lived in the States for years, a couple of years. And I always wondered like, do the police forces that are like a local police force, do they look at the demographics of the city and then issue or ensure that the police force literally reflects those demographics, or is it we're just whoever's the best is who's out there?
That's how it is.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
They don't go,
But-
we have 10% black, we need 10% black cops.
Yeah.
They don't do that.
They don't do that.
Gotcha.
No,
Okay.
no.
Do you think that's a good idea or not? To
No.
go that route. Just keep it a meritocracy where the best are the people that are in uniform.
Best. I'll tell you why. Because if we ever, for example, when I was at 32 Division,
Yeah.
demographically, there's a large Korean, Iranian, and Russian population. So when I got on, let's just say I arrested somebody from, that speaks Russian,
Yeah.
and there's no Russian-speaking officers, we would call other divisions to see if they have any Russian-speaking officers to come and assist with the translation.
Gotcha.
Right? So yeah, it doesn't matter where, if it's a black officer or whatever, we can always.
You have a network system.
Yes.
And pull as you
And what I tell people, I'm not a 23 division officer or a 32 division officer. I'm a Toronto police officer.
You have access to
So I can go anywhere in Toronto.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to know is nowadays when you see how is racism as a police officer?
Yeah.
How do you? I don't know if this even makes sense as a question, but how do you fight racism on a daily basis? Like, what do you see as far as from a cop point of view? I just see it as me personally. Oh, someone gave me this, or someone I'm at an ATM, so I got to be extra far from this person. That's my own experience. But as a cop, is there a lot of racialized calls you're coming to, or is it mostly violence, mostly accidents? You know what I mean?
Sadly, unfortunately, I've witnessed,
Yeah.
right, and experienced racism. I'll tell you, I remember I was at 32 Division a few years ago. We got a call on Avenue Road. There was a Muslim man
Yeah.
dressed in traditional clothing.
Yeah.
He had a briefcase.
Yeah.
So he went to the bank.
Yeah.
Some person called in
Like
saying
it's a bomb.
there's a bomb.
Yeah.
So all of us rushed over.
Was this around 9/11, or this is
No, this was 6 years after 9/11.
Okay.
Right?
What?
But remember, the TV shows are still going.
Yeah.
portraying
07,
people.
06
Yeah.
is still very much
Yeah.
in the 9/11 phase,
Yeah.
by the way.
And then we came. This guy was very nice, and he's like, "You know what, officers? I was actually expecting something like this to happen. It wasn't the first time to happen to him."
Yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was so angry,
Yeah.
right, that this person called.
Yeah.
And I actually was trying to call this person back to say
The one who made the call.
who made the
originally.
phone call.
Yeah.
Ask him, why would
What's
he?
your deal?
Yeah. Well, what made you think this person had a bomb? Right? He wouldn't answer.
It's like, oh, I see something, say something.
Yeah. And see what happens. Sometimes police will get caught up in things like this, right? And then police will be blamed. Another time, there was a black male
Yeah.
walking in a predominantly white neighborhood in 32 Division.
Yeah.
And then somebody called it in saying there's a suspicious male walking.
Yeah.
We have to respond.
Yeah.
Right? It's our job. We have to respond. And then we went, and imagine this person, they're just walking on the street.
Yeah.
And then
And
they're
cops
getting
are showing
approached, right?
Yeah.
And sadly, we were getting calls like this. And I remember another time.
As a cop who's responding to that, so you get a call.
Yeah.
And then the dispatcher
Yeah.
puts it into a system.
Yeah.
And the closest cop physically to that call gets
Now,
they say
yes,
go there.
Yes.
It didn't used to be like that.
No, before it used to be.
They're like, give this one a Johnson.
No, whatever car is. No.
Get Johnson on this
Yeah,
one.
get Johnson, no.
He's in Sudbury. Well, get him on the fucking road then.
No. What it was, whatever car was free.
Yeah.
Right, but now we have a system where whichever car is closest to that
Vicinity,
call,
yeah.
will be dispatched.
So you approach, and they say, and they give you all the information of the call.
Yeah.
Suspect is African American, suspicious.
Yeah.
In this, do you in your mind go, do you think, oh, this could be a sketchy person, or do you go, oh, I know that area. The call sounds like it's just a fucking black guy walking through.
Me as a police
your
officer,
gut-
racialized,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Right, I know.
So when you get there, you go, do you got it? So you get there, you find the guy.
Yeah.
And you go, someone called saying this is suspicious, and the person's like, "Oh, you fucking kidding me?" And then it's just this awkward conversation.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
And then
listen,
you ask, and then you just got to be like, "What are you doing here?"
Well, what I usually do
yeah,
is I'll just observe the person, right, before going talk to them.
Yeah.
Right, and if I see this person just walking, not looking into homes or
the body
into
language
vehicles,
shows it. Yeah,
then already I know I have some evidence. Okay, there's no credibility to this call,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I still have to go and talk to this person.
But sometimes it is someone who has.
Well, I'll tell you,
ill
for
intent.
example, break and enters.
Yeah.
There's a misconception. People think it happens at nighttime. Majority of them happen during the day.
Oh yeah.
So what they do, these guys, and it's always the same modus operandi. They'll come knock on the door. If nobody answers, they'll use a prying tool to either enter the front door or the back door. And we'll get calls where somebody will come knock on the door and say, for example, you'll answer, and they'll be like, oh, somebody is home, and they'll be like, oh, is John here? Oh, I must get the wrong house, right? And and that person will say, hey, listen, some suspicious person came and knocked on our door, asked for John, and me being a police officer, know that person was probably trying to break in.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I'll go and question them, saying, what are you doing, this and this, right? But
so for all you thieves out there, don't do that. Say you're a Jehovah's Witness. Okay, the cops are on to you guys. Is John here?
Yeah.
You fucking idiot. Get out of here.
That's pretty common.
Yeah.
That's what they do. And it's not hard, right? Like, you could, if you're one of these guys, you drive around, you see somebody leaving their house, right? It's that easy.
No cars in the garage. Or sorry, no cars on the driveway.
Yeah. Well, even this summer, a lot of people leave their cars on the driveway and go on vacation.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So what they do is they knock on the door.
The knock system.
Yeah. So.
Damn.
But there's always ways, like if you go on our websites for crime prevention tips, right? Even putting longer nails in your doors to reinforcing your windows, things like that helps.
Earlier, you went to Saudi Arabia, and in my mind, I would think, is it weird for you to go to other countries you have no authority and jurisdiction?
It is.
Is that weird?
It is.
You're like, stop. Oh, wait, I'm not in Canada.
Well, I'll tell you, for example, I was at a hotel.
Yeah.
And then in the hotel, I entered through the wrong door. And there's a security guard. And he's like, hey, wrong door. And I started laughing because no one ever said that to me. I'm usually saying that to people.
You're usually in uniform.
Yeah, right? And it felt a little bit awkward.
Like,
right? And I looked up, I'm like, oh, I apologize. And then I went through the right door. But it was just kind of awkward, somebody saying it to me when I normally say that.
You're like, dang, this is how regular people feel. I hate this. That's so funny. I always picture the movies, how they show jurisdiction, like if you're driving out of Toronto and like you're about to enter Milton, the criminal just is trying to make it to Milton because in Milton you can't touch him anymore.
Well,
is there any truth to stuff like that?
Well, no, we're police officers.
Yeah.
So we have jurisdiction everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? But I'll tell you, I live in Peel.
Yeah.
And
which is a whole county, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And particularly Brampton.
Yeah.
And I've noticed there's a lot more bad drivers in Brampton.
Oh, yeah. I used to live in Brampton.
Yeah.
Totally unpredictable drivers.
Yes. And, I'll leave work, I enter Brampton, and I'll have somebody do something very dangerous, right? I'm in my own personal car, and I'm like, man, I want to stop this. I'm not in my police car.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's awkward. I'm like, I can't do anything, right? But I've called Peel Police. I said, listen, I'm an off-duty police officer. These two cars are racing. They almost killed somebody. I'll give them the plate description, and then
like someone will handle it.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's such a crazy job to me. And what's the relationship between police and OPP? Is it like how like in the movies?
Oh, rivalry?
Like,
no, I've
like you'd be in a scene and OPP will show up, be like, who's that? Yeah. Who's in charge here? And you come up, I am. He goes, not anymore. You'd be best to have your men offload onto my men. And then the guy comes with aviators and he's in a suit.
What was that, State Trooper? Was that scene from State Trooper?
Or like, I think it's from The Fugitive, like FBI, are the OPP kind of like the big brothers, or like what's the dynamic between a cop and OPP?
We all have the same powers.
Yeah.
Right? Even our CMP officers, we all have the same powers. They mainly deal with highways or provincial jurisdictions like cities. But when I was at 32 and 23, I used to come across them all the time. Either they would, drive into our areas and come across something, or I'd be on the highway. I have a great relationship with them. Never, ever any issues.
Historically, has there been any?
Not that I know of. Yeah. No.
I don't know. In my head, I like to sensationalize things.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's the movies.
Every interaction I had with an OPP officer has been great. Even our CMP.
Yeah.
Like whenever these somebody coming, a dignitary.
Yeah.
I would run
across.
That
has to be our CMP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have our own bodyguard unit.
Yeah.
But every interaction I've had with our CMP and OPP, it's been great.
Yeah. Okay, I know I got to get you out of here soon, so I just want to. This is just like my mind's like fuck.
I'll come back. I'll come back.
I know you got to go protect or whatever, but I got to know from an immigrant point of view. I ask these questions every. So you said you're Indian, right?
Yeah.
Have you gone back like since you were?
Many times.
You've gone many times.
Yes. And I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I work for the Toronto Police.
Explain.
Man, I like, when I went to India, there's no system like we have here. People take our system for granted, right? You call, I forgot what the emergency number is there, but you're not going to get the quick response like we do here.
It's like a 10-digit number.
And I asked my relatives, I go, hey, like what happens if somebody, something happens like a murder or whatever? And they're like, hey, you basically have to pay the police to investigate.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like just that level of corruption at that point where it's like.
I wouldn't say that's level.
Yeah.
Certain situations, yes.
Yeah.
Right? But then, I hear other good stories about the police service as well.
Yeah.
Like I see on the internet and all that.
Yeah.
But all I'm going to say is when I've gone to other countries, I am just telling people, be happy you have a police service like we do.
Yeah, I mean.
Not all interactions go well, right?
But at least people are showing up. At least there's a phone number to call.
But you have a phone number to call. And there's always a mechanism, right, where, like, say I come in and investigate something and you don't like the way it is.
Yeah.
Right? I'll put in a report. It will go to our detective's office and they'll take a second look at it.
Gotcha.
Right? And so there's always like a mechanism. So
has anyone ever tried to bribe you in Canada?
You know what? Interestingly enough, yes.
How did it go
I
down?
pulled over somebody once years ago for they were suspended.
Yeah.
And they tried saying, listen, I'll give you an Armani suit. And I was like, what did you just say? Armani? First of all, I'm not an Armani fan.
Yeah.
But second, I say, listen, bribery an official is a very serious offense here. So be careful, right? And
he's like, but do you have Fendi?
Then they'll just say, oh, no, I was just joking. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you were just
44
joking.
large? Yeah.
Then they're like, oh, no, I was joking. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you're joking. Or I'll have people say, oh, is there any other way we can handle this, right? So I'm like, listen, no.
Like, oh, that's the way of
That's
like
what some
not
people
bribing,
do.
but
Yeah.
also like keeping it like, is there another solution here?
Yeah.
Officer.
Yeah, no. I take pride in my job. I'm very loyal to the service.
Yeah.
But being loyal does not mean I have to be, like an enforcer or be strict.
Yeah.
Being loyal, right, to the service means being a good police officer, which means helping people no matter what it is. And I'll tell you, when I was on the road, I didn't go after people for little things. Like my threshold was pretty high, right? Like, if you went through a red light stop sign or going 30, 40 over, I'm going to get you because that's dangerous.
Yeah.
But I'm not. If
You're
I
not getting
stop
15 over.
No, if I stop you for little things, like for example, if I pull you over, you don't have your documents in order, I'm gonna most likely give you a caution. And that's how most police officers are, right? We're not out there to get you. We're there to educate, right? But unfortunately, some people need to be charged.
I did, most of the times I ever got speeding tickets, I was 25 and younger. All my speeding tickets, I never got a speeding ticket since 25, right?
Yeah.
But for the future, what is the best way to get out of a speeding ticket? I'm talking you were 25 over. You're in that zone where it's like you can obviously you want to like be cooperative, obviously, right?
Yes. The best way?
Yes, the best.
Don't speed.
No, come on, give me one.
There is no way.
No,
Don't speed.
No, I don't accept it. There's a way. What is the best? Like, I just really gotta pee. Does that work?
No, I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I've had that excuses.
Yeah.
So these two things I look at. First, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. You're leaving home. So how could you just start peeing when you're leaving home?
Yeah.
Secondly,
it's like, I got a tiny bladder.
no, secondly, these Tim Hortons,
Yeah.
McDonald's, right, where you could have stopped to use the washroom and you didn't do that. You chose to speed at a dangerous high levels, right? For example, the collision I just came from, like I said, there are two babies in a car and another woman. It did appear that speed might have been a factor.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Dufferin at that location is a 50 zone.
Yeah. And you can tell by like the braking marks of tires.
Everything. There's a lot of evidence, especially the high impact, right? Damage.
Oh, like they're just crumpled cars.
Yes,
You don't get that from.
Yeah, you're not going to get that from a car going 10 kilometers, right? Yeah. So that's why.
But nowadays, though, because cars are designed to just crumple.
Yes. And
I've
it's funny.
seen
I just
cars
thought,
that have hit at 30 kilometers an hour and the whole front end went.
Yes.
I'm like, what the hell?
They're making cars from plastic.
And then people walk out. That's the part. Is the whole point is that people just walk out with nothing on them.
I am so shocked how Canada safety can allow these vehicles out sometimes from what I see. When I was a traffic guy earlier in my career, I used to come across collisions with cars from the 90s and 80s versus the cars built after 2000, and you would see cars built in the 80s, 90s. They're solid. They're rock solid with little damage. And the cars after 2000, they have like...
The most damage.
Yeah. And it's just incredible. But I don't know how those cars are being allowed.
But you know what it is, though? It's because they've engineered them for the car to take the whole collision. So now the human leaves, but that car that is just dinged, that guy's his whole chest cavity is collapsed.
So I'll tell you a story last year.
Yeah.
No, 2019. Everything I'm talking about is 2019.
Yeah.
2020 was a write-off.
Was it for policing? Was it a write-off?
No. We still got same amount of calls.
But it was different. How? It was all COVID stuff?
No, we still responded to the same calls. We just had to mask up and glasses, right?
Gotcha, yeah.
But I was coming home after evening shift.
Yeah.
It was 2 a.m. I was dead tired.
Yeah.
It just snowed. And I live in a corner house. So you could imagine I get everybody's snow.
Yeah.
And I usually get greeted with a nice 5-foot solid ice wall when I come home.
From the
Snow plower.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm like, I'm dead tired. It was a tough shift. So I'm like, okay, let me just shovel a little bit for the car to get in. And then in the morning when I wake up, I'll finish it off, right?
Yeah.
And anyways, I parked the car on the side. I got a shovel out. It was hard, man. It was like I was in prison.
It was like breaking it. Yeah, chiseling away.
So anyways, I made enough, right, for my car to get through. Went back in my car. As I went through, the passenger front sight, lightly, in my opinion, lightly touched the ice bank. It ripped my whole bumper off. And I was like, oh my God. Right? And it wasn't even hard.
It was the tiniest touch.
And I'm like, oh crap. Right? And then I'm like, I'll deal with this in the morning. Park on my driveway. I couldn't sleep because of that.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a good sleep. I woke up. I called a body shop who I've used before. And they're like, okay, bring it down, tape it up, bring it down, and maybe we could just put it back. And he's like, no, we can't put it back because it's ripped. So it cost me $800.
Oh, my God.
Just for that little... And he told me, like this friend of mine said, these cars, these days, are made out of plastic. Any slightest touch will cause damage, scratch, and stuff.
And you, as a cop, you don't get some sort of discount, dude?
No.
You go into a uniform and be like, really? 800? Because
No.
800?
First of all...
Seems like your permit is out of date.
First of all, I'll get in a lot of trouble if I did that. And
Come on.
I'm not gonna get fired over that. But second, I'll tell you, it's funny. I did this documentary, and we went to eat after. And they're like, "Oh, don't you get free food and all that?" And that's what I say. So you know what? I go, there are some places where they'll try to offer us discounts, right? But I don't want anything free or a discount. I'll tell you why, and I'm being honest, because there's always someone that has to pay for that. So
gotcha.
I always look at it, that person owns a restaurant.
Yeah.
They pay the employees.
Yeah.
They pay rent, hydro. I don't want to take that out. For me, I don't, a $1, $2, is something for them. It's nothing for me.
Yes.
So no, please just charge me the full amount.
I respect that. But I bet you people, once you tell them that, they go, now you're definitely not paying. Now look at the modesty on this guy.
No.
You're definitely not paying.
Well, there was a few times where they're like, no, right? They kept saying it's free. I'm like, no, I don't want it for free, and I can't take it for free.
Yeah.
They're like, no. And it got, a few times it got heated. I'm like, oh my, and it was making a scene. So I just put whatever it was on the table and I walked away.
That's immigrant style. I'm paying. No, I will not pay.
Yeah.
I will pay.
No, it's just, no, but that's how I always look at it. I go, look, that person has rent to pay.
That
person has their employees to pay. No, just, it's fine, right? Just charge me.
Okay, last question, and I'll let you get out of here. Sure. In all of your years in the forces, maybe 2 questions, but in all of your years in the forces, what is the number one reason that gets a police officer fired?
Criminal charges, if they do anything criminal.
Do you see that a couple times a year? How often does like a cop you find out is also like doing some deal with drug dealers, or like they'll like, how often do cops do a drug raid and just take a bunch of the drugs?
Not very often. I've heard like 1 or 2 cases like that.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not very often, no. Because, like I said, like everything else, the Toronto Police Service evolves, right? So now with every raid, there has to be a uniformed sergeant on scene.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it has to be recorded on video.
Gotcha. So you can't be like putting wads of cash in here. Because I always think, why don't the cops, like if I was a cop and I show up at a drug den and you've got the criminals and there's a stack of money, why not take fucking 600, 1,000, put in your pocket. Who cares? It's going into what? Like when you guys seize $1 million in cash.
Yeah.
It just goes right into the budget of the Toronto police office. Like, where does that money go? Where do all the drugs go?
So when we seize cash, right, it's called forfeiture proceeds of crime.
Yeah.
It goes to the Ministry of Attorney General.
Yeah.
So in turn, it goes towards taxpayers.
Okay, well, it seems like it goes in Canada's pocket.
No,
Put a little in your pocket.
We don't collect anything.
Okay.
Right? And,
what about, like, a lot of cocaine is seized? What happens with that?
So what we do is there's a process where when we seize the drugs, we take it to our property room.
Yeah.
We package it up. We weigh it for evidence.
Yeah.
And it goes to Canada's drug lab where they're the only
use it
ones.
for research or
no,
something?
No. They're the only authority that can certify drugs. Just because I see some white powder, it may not be cocaine.
Gotcha.
I'm not an expert.
Gotcha.
We seize it, then we send it over to them, and they'll do their lab test, and it's cocaine. They'll send us a certificate, which we'll use in evidence in court.
So when they send you that certificate, that is now for the criminal case for that person.
Yes.
But they have 10 pounds, 100 kilos of something.
It eventually all gets destroyed.
It gets destroyed.
Yeah.
They don't use it for like research or.
I don't know.
Really?
No.
Interesting. Yeah.
But it's just, I wasn't
I'm surprised there isn't more foul play. It just seems to me like
no. It just goes back to the police officer seeking the best.
Yeah.
Right. The Toronto police.
Gotcha.
Seeking, right.
Yeah,
And
that's why you said that. Yeah.
We look for people with good moral character. Right. And sure, a few will fall off the wagon like any other workplace. You hear about it on the news, right? And it's quite shocking when I read about it because it's a majority of police officers are professionals, right? But when most of the police officers, we do an extensive background check, right, to make sure this person is good. So, and that helps a lot. I've been to a lot of homes where it was a single occupant where they passed away from natural causes.
Yeah.
They would have hundreds of dollars worth of cash in their possession or jewelry.
Yeah, and that video camera person is not there because it's not a raid.
Yeah, and I never wanted to cross my mind to take it.
Of course. That's
if these are next of kin, we'll turn it over to them.
Yeah.
Make them sign our memo book, or we'll just seize it.
Yeah.
And then it will go. We'll go to the government, right? But if they don't have a next of kin.
If I robbed the dead, I'd be afraid of ghouls and spirits
me too.
and shit.
Me too. Yeah.
I don't want to fuck with that.
Yeah, I'm afraid of them too.
I love it, dude. Okay, but hey, I'm going to get you out of here because I know you got to leave. You want to look right into the camera and let the people know where to find you, how to get your radio station, Instagram, all that.
No problem. Folks, first of all, Abbas, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Pleasure.
I do want to come back.
Yes, 100%.
And I'll bring more officers as well.
Shit, dude.
Folks.
People are going to think I'm a snitch.
Yeah. No.
It's for the pod. I'm looking at my neighbors. It's for the podcast. That guy's an informant.
Yeah. I'll come out with, I'm like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. This is critical information. It's like, shh, get the fuck out.
No, so once again, my name is Constable Mir Lodhi.
Oh, here, just bring that.
Constable Mir Lodhi. I am the South and West Asian Liaison Officer for the Community Partnership Engagement Unit. My job, mandate, is to engage, go to community events. So if you need to reach me, you can reach me on Instagram at MIRLODHI. You'll see a nice picture of me. Facebook, once again, Constable Mir Lodhi. Or email me at 99765@tps.ca. If you get a chance, listen to me on the radio. 101.3 FM every Mondays at 5:30. If you're not near a radio, Google the link. CMR 101.3 FM Mondays at 5:30.
Awesome. And as always, all of that will be in the description below. So you'll be able to have links and you'll be able to just click them and get connected with Constable over here. From my end, if you want to support the show directly or check out bonus episodes, check out patreon.com/the Immigrant Section. Constable, this has been a pleasure. A couple months from now, I'd love to have you back on.
I'd love to come back.
Because then this has been like the first one. And the next time we'll just get into the nitty-gritty.
Listen, if you bring me back in a couple of months, I will tell more juicy stories of me and racism.
Oh shit, he was holding some stuff back. But
no, I just ran out of time. I have a lunch.
He's gonna. That's what it wasn't criminal. It's like I got a luncheon meeting. But hey, until next time, y'all have been great. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Until next time, peace. Yo, and that's the episode. Remember, if you liked it, smash that subscribe button so I can give you updates. And until next time, it's your boy, Abbas Wahab. Easy.